So listen, I really want to start with, I'm a huge fan of the show. I really want to thank you guys for a fantastic season. And congrats on being Mr. McAdams.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Took a lot of hard work.
Dave, I definitely have to ask, are you and Robin over?
We write one season at a time, but it certainly feels like, that I had a choice to make at the end and I made the other choice. So I think it's really cool in a season where it's like, I'm looking for love the whole time. And I think deep down, like, there's kind of these dual, like, interweaving themes of like love and like validation and fame. And I think kind of like they interweave and there's so much overlap between the two and even between the quest for both for my character. And I think the interesting thing about the ending is, you think, this experience with the stalker and Brad Pitt has made me like totally like rethink everything. And like, I now know what's important in life and I'm going to go for love and Robin. And it's a huge mislead. And the reality is that it's like, if I still need all this validation, it still irks me that I can't like get to a guy like Drake, then I clearly don't even fully love myself yet. And until you like actually love yourself, you can't really take anyone along that ride with you. You know what I mean? And I think so I think on the one hand, it could be appeared like he abandoned Robin in love for like being famous and cool and rich. But I also view it as like there's like a self-awareness of like, not stringing someone along until the person is ready,
GaTa, I definitely have to ask you. I can see that you are definitely a sneakerhead, and this is not in my list of questions, but in an emergency, there's a fire. What's the pair or two that you're grabbing to absolutely save?
I'm going to grab the Jordan 1 breads, and I'm going to grab a running pair of New Balance. That's all I need.
Got it. I can see the lower left. There's some shoes that I admire. So I read, and obviously I could be wrong, that that you auditioned to be GaTa, even though the character was based on you. Is that true? And what was that like?
Oh, that's definitely true. A lot of people don't know that, but I like to say that because it's the real story. And at the same time, it was challenging, but I knew I had it, but I was also nervous because it was my first time acting. But Dave was just telling me like, yo, this is a procedure. We got to go through this. FX, you got to audition. It's just protocol. He's like, but you're going to get it though. I'm telling you. He's like, I'm banking on you. So when I did it, it was just like, all right, boom.
And it was definitely, it was a special, it was like I didn't make GaTa like come into the casting office and go in front of like the blue thing. Like me and GaTa like shot like a proof of concept scene with both of us in it. You know what I mean? It was a different, but they had never seen GaTa. It's hard to be like, take my word for it. This guy is going to be the great main character of a show. So we just had to get some footage of me and GaTa on camera. But as soon as I shot that footage, and I haven't deleted it. It's on my computer. My computer's always out of hard drive space, and it's always
just in case you need it.
I can't delete it because it's too historic. So I keep this like old like proof of concept of like me and GaTa walking down the street talking, me and GaTa in the studio talking. It was like important footage.
I'm going to tell you something. Recently, they've invented this thing called external hard drives.
I know.
And
I know. I get all these hard drives and then I lose them and I hide them and then I forget where I hid. I'm really not. Yeah.
I totally get it. One of the things that I love about the show is the way you two interact. And I know obviously it's all scripted, but how much after the script are you two riffing to find more dialogue? And how much is it literally what's on the page?
If you want to be honest, we definitely be riffing, man. Like I'll be watching the show and I'll watch episodes and then I'll be looking at the scene after and be like soaking it in. And I'll be like, damn. None of that was on the paper. So that's the beauty of it, man. Like me and Dave got a real great friendship, like real dynamic energy. It's like always vibing. So when we on camera, man, it's just organic. Like it'll be like, all right, this is what the scene is about, but we need you guys to do this. Like if you look back on some of the scenes, like, man, it's just beautiful, man. Like I'll be watching the show and I just be thinking like, dang, none of that was on paper. Like we have the scene blocked out, but we just deliver every time, man, because I really love this guy, man. He loved me. And we just trying to always be great. Like, after every take, he the first person I asked, like, so how was it? Like, skip past the whole director, the camera angle, all that. I go straight to him, because I know it's his show and I know what he wants to put out there for the world. So yeah, man, everything is real.
We always say, I say a few things. One, the scripted version is just one version of, we capture that to an extent. And then, but there's always, and we're not like going off on tangents that are just like irrelevant that aren't about the scene. Like, it's like if me and GaTa have to react to someone pulling a crossbow on us, for example. It's like, yes, there are words on paper that we could say, but really it's just like GaTa, like you're scared. This person has a crossbow. Be GaTa in this moment and be scared. And usually the outcome is when it's better, it's just more naturalistic when like people are really living in the moments of scenes. And like, it's not just like the same lines over and over again. And like, we're tuning each other out and just waiting for our cue to like talk next. Like you actually have to listen to what he's going to say, because it could like, one of my favorite parts of the season is in episode 9, when I say like, I'm not like a dirtbag like you, GaTa. I don't cheat. And he says, man, I was cheating out the gate. I had girls in 5th grade doing my homework or something like that. And then like wasn't expecting that. And then I like my reaction, which was used in the show, was like, that's like so cool to say. And like, really, that was me in that moment being like, that was cool. And I think moments like that, like if we had scripted that, it wouldn't have come through. So like you can like really feel my surprise in that moment, and it makes everything kind of cooler.
Oh, 100%. So I definitely have to talk about the fact that this season has had an insane amount of guest stars, but you leveled up with the finale. And so I want to know, how exactly was Brad a fan? Did Drake know that you want, you've been building towards Drake. So how did these things happen?
Yeah, no, look, people are asking me like, how did you get all these people? And it's like, really, I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it. I'm honored to say it. They just love the show. And like, I think it speaks to the greatness of the show that it doesn't take a lot of like insane maneuvering to get these people to do it. They all just independently, Drake, Rachel McAdams, Brad Pitt, they all watch the show. They love the show. They watch all the episodes. Like I've had run-ins with Drake, and he talks my ear off in a really positive way about how big of a fan he is of the show and how it's like one of the more important shows of our generation. And Brad Pitt, I heard that he liked it too, and I had never met him. And I took that knowledge of the fact that, like Brad loves the show, so I wrote, I figured maybe there's a shot here. And, I sent a really thought out email like that took days to write, and got a really cool email back, and he was in. And Rachel McAdams, same deal. She watches the show with her husband, and like they love it. And so it's like, and they're not just like random celebrity, like I want you in this because you're cool. Like each of them are kind of representative of like the main like themes of like what the show is all about. As far as like Rachel McAdams is like, our generation's like dream woman. She's like anchored like some of the more important romantic pieces of cinema for like my entire generation. Brad Pitt like is like the preeminent representation of like movie star Hollywood. He's like the biggest icon, like I think, of our time as far as cinema. And Drake is obviously that of music and hip hop. You know what I mean? And so all of those, to like for the themes that we're going for, I feel like all these characters like aren't just coming in and like being like, hey, like they're just like representing like the top of those major thematic tentpoles. So I think it's like, it's truly like when I'm working with Brad Pitt and I'm like giving him direction and I'm seeing him trust me the way like he must trust like a Tarantino or a Cohen, you know what I mean? Like it just is very validating for me as a filmmaker to get that type of trust from these like iconic pillars of entertainment. So it's very rewarding to like get them on board, and then also to not have to like do anything crazy to get them beyond just like have made a show that they all really love and respect.
One of the things I'm curious about is, like the Mr. McAdams song is really good. And the music you guys are doing each week is really good. And I'm so curious, how early on are you writing this music for these episodes, and how much is it, you know what I mean? Because there's that balance of figuring out, well, are we going to get this person for this episode? Oh, I got to do the music. Like there's all of that that has to come together.
Yeah, no, it's I took a lot of risks this season, and it's like a lot of people in my writer's room were like, man, like I hope that you're right, that like these people are just going to say yes. Like people thought I was like really, even in the writer's room, they were like, what are we doing writing this entire episode around Brad Pitt, without having me ever communicated with him at all. And I just believed, and I was rewarded for my belief. And yeah, it's a chicken and egg thing. And in between seasons, like I'm always working on music. Sometimes I'll make a song that like wasn't written for the show, but I'm just like, man, this scene needs like a good rap. This scene needs like a romantic song. And like, sometimes like, I'm like, oh, this song I made like a year ago really could work. Obviously the verse like that I wrote when I wrote it, not thinking of the TV show, doesn't work as well as if I like rewrote the verse and like made it about like Robin, or you know what I mean, and made it about more of like the specific themes of the season. So it's a total chicken and egg thing, and everything varies. But I'm fortunate enough to like in between the seasons, I'm like working my ass off on music, and a lot of times it's not all for naught in the sense that like I can, even though like my fans are obviously like craving an album, and of course I wish I could deliver that, and I'm working as hard as I can, there is a fortunate reality to this whole thing that the show is about a rapper, and I can take a lot of music that I made independent of the show and get it into the show in an organic way.
GaTa, I definitely have to ask you, what is it like when you're in a scene with Brad, and you are on set and you're looking at him, and how much is it sort of you know what I mean? Because it has to be like, I've done some interviews with some, like I've sat across from Leo and Tom Cruise, and there's a moment where you're sitting across, you're like, fuck, and so I'm just curious, what's it like when you're in a scene with Brad, and are you, how much are you thinking, oh, I really got to deliver? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pressure. But number one, first and foremost, it's a blessing, and then number two, you got to question yourself and think like, dang, am I that good? Like, I got to see with Brad Pitt, like, so it makes you feel like, okay, I got to be on my A game, you got to really be focused, you know what I'm saying? But you really just got to soak it in and really appreciate it. Like, I did the scene, and then right now it's just basically starting to hit me like, yeah, I really got a scene with Brad Pitt. You know how people run up on George Clooney and they be like, so George Clooney, how was it, man, working with Brad? They could ask GaTa, how was it working with Brad now? So I just feel like I'm in that level of conversation, and I owe it all to my brother LD, man. It's just a great feeling, man. Just like even when I be around LD, I just be thinking like, man, it's amazing, man. So it's going to be something I definitely remember forever. It's going to be something that's going to help my career, and I appreciate you, LD. Thanks, man. That was dope.
Of course. And let me just say, as the guy who edits the footage and sees all the takes in the dailies, like it's even watching GaTa in between takes, like his excitement level, like he was like so happy to like, I could see it. Like, and Brad honestly did that to the entire crew. Like when he was on set, like you could just feel it. Everyone was like walking with such a sense of like purpose. And I really feel like, there's a lot of people go into making this show. And I think everybody at their core like loves storytelling and loves cinema. And they've been working for years in this industry, working on things. And it's like, when you're working on something that has like the biggest star in the world at it on your set, it's like it really instilled a sense of purpose. And like, I think everyone was like challenged to be like, we got to like bring our absolute A game for Brad. And yeah.
The thing about this season is you've raised the bars like so high in terms of guest stars, and everything about the season was so good. Where the F do you go in the next season? Have you already started thinking about it?
I understand the question, but I'm not concerned, because I have thoughts. I've been thinking about it, and I feel like even though it's different scales every time, like after season 1, I felt like, man, what a finale. Like, where do we go from here? Like, how do we beat that? And I remember when we made season 2 finale, I was like, man, we're up against the shadow of the season 1 finale. Like, how are we going to like top what we did? And then this season is the same deal. It's like, how do we, like, we've set such a precedent for like season finales being like these epic conclusions of like the whole season in a dramatic, unpredictable way. And we topped it again. And I feel, yes, like we have, Brad Pitt, Drake, Rachel McAdams, they are the absolute mountaintop of like what they represent for like, the industry but it's not all about celebrities. There are plenty of other celebrities that have not been in the show that are at their own respective mountaintops that I would love to get in this show. And I have a lot of really great ideas for where to go next.
I already have to wrap. I'm just going to say, and I really mean it sincerely, I love the show, and I really appreciate what you guys do, and I wish you nothing but the best. And if we can ever help on Collider with the promotion of the show, always please let me know.
Thank you. And give a shout out to Tania, the woman, the stalker, because she killed that episode. Like I know that Drake and Brad, but she was like a force.
Listen, it doesn't work without an antagonist. And listen, I love the finale, and again, love the season. I could just keep going. I'm just going to say good luck with the rest of your interviews.
Hey, thank you, and put it all on the written piece, would you? I appreciate it. Thank you so much.